Just call the meeting to order for January 14th. I just got that email, so I'm gonna wing it. Sorry. This committee meeting is being recorded. Any comments made during this meeting will form part of the public record. This meeting is being held virtually with some or all meeting participants attending via electronic or other communication facilities. A member will be involved in and participate in the meeting. Committee members will raise their hands to advise the chair if they wish to speak. The chair will record the order in which the hands are raised and will allow the committee members to speak in the order in which they are recorded. If committee members are unable to raise their hands due to being in audio mode, they will verbally advise the chair of their intention to speak. All meeting attendees should remain muted when not speaking. With respect to a vote, committee members are only required to state a nay vote. Committee members attending the meeting are required to verbally advise the chair or staff liaison if they leave the meeting and when they return to the meeting. So this can be recorded in the minutes. Committee members will email staff liaison if they have technical difficulty connection and need to be reconnected to the meeting. If a technical difficulty occurs, it becomes apparent that the committee member has become disconnected from the meeting, the meeting's quorum is not maintained, the meeting will be recessed until the committee member returns. Committee members who are attending electronically and declare a conflict of interest with respect to the agenda item will be placed in a virtual waiting room by the staff liaison while the committee considers the agenda item. Committee members who are present within the virtual waiting room are asked to stay at their computer, otherwise remain present and connected to their computer so as not to miss their readmittance into the virtual meeting room following consideration of the agenda item.
Personal.
Okay. Kevin, did you have a copy of the agenda?
Yeah, I was just trying to find
Okay.
it, so
Okay.
I've got it. I've
Perfect.
got it now. Sorry.
No worries.
So I guess that's I was supposed to do the chair election prior to the approval of the agenda. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. I thought it might be a good idea to just do a quick round of
Oh,
introductions
okay.
too, because there's a
Sorry.
few people on the call that maybe have not met previously.
All right. I guess I'll go first. I'm Kevin. I live in Pemberton Meadows and make the area my home. So I'm interested in this. Plus, it kind of crosses over with work. I'll turn it over to Connolly.
Sure. Um, I am Conley Keys. I'm a regional agrologist with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food, covering Pemberton. I just sit on these meetings. I'm not a member. I guess I'll pass it on to Carrie.
Hi, I'm Carrie Sharon. I grew up in Pemberton on a potato and beef farm operation, and I live in the meadows with my parents and my family. We grow squash, laying eggs, well, laying chickens. We have eggs, and we grow some turkeys. And my parents are still doing seed potatoes, potatoes for food, and also beef cattle. So I've got lots of experience in Pemberton. I have a chemical engineering degree. So I'm also educated and have an idea of how things are related back to the farm. Anyways, that's me.
Russell, you want to?
Yeah, Russell Mack. I'm the Area C director for Area C, so I'm involved. Thanks.
Elliot? No, you're muted, Elliot.
Hi, I'm Elliot. I live out in Birkin. I've farmed in the meadows and out this direction as well, and in other countries over the years. And my passion is agriculture and soil. And so, yeah, try and put that in as a word of wisdom. Pass it on to Lee.
Lee, you're on mute. Maybe we'll do Trish while Lee's getting unmuted. Maybe Trish is muted too. Michelle?
Hi, Michelle
Hi,
Becks.
can you hear me now?
Okay,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead, Trish.
Sorry, guys. Hi, I'm Trish Sturdy. My husband and I own and operate North Arm Farm. Been running for a while. We do about 40 acres of mixed vegetables and fruits. We do U-pick. We're quite a public farm, and I'm quite interested in agricultural ongoings in the valley. That's it.
Okay, guess it's my turn. Um, I'm Michelle Becks. I farm with my husband for the last 42 odd years. We do seed potatoes and carrots, and yeah, come to the committee with a lot of agricultural knowledge.
I think Lee's still stuck on mute. So Anna?
Hi, everyone. I am Anna, the planner analyst for the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. And I'll pass it on to
Lee's the only one left. Oh, there he is.
Lee.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm interested. I've been organic farming for 40 years, currently running a farm up the valley called Grizzly Farm. We have 15,000 blueberry bushes, 4 greenhouses, and we do over 100 different vegetables and herbs. We have a lot of data that we'd like to share with anybody interested. We make our own compost. Yeah, and it's very important to me to be involved with agriculture in Pemberton. Thank you.
Thanks. Back to you, Alex.
So I'm Alex. I'm the staff liaison for the Area C AAC, and I've been in that role for a little bit over the last 5 years. Kevin, I think so for the chair election, I guess is the next piece of business. We received 2 nominations, 2 written nominations. So I'll just first of all ask those people if they're willing to stand for nomination. So one was for Carrie. Do you accept the nomination? Yes. Okay. And then the other one was for yourself, Kevin. Do you accept the nomination?
I'm going to decline at this time. I just have too much to
Okay.
put that on my list.
Okay, thank you. So I will call 3 times for any further nominations. So calling a first time, are there any additional nominations for chair? Okay, seeing none, I'll call a second time. Are there any further nominations for chair? Okay, and a third and final time if there are any additional nominations for chair. Okay, seeing none, so that saves us, we don't have to go to the poll. Carrie, you will be the chair of the AAC for 2025. And I do just quickly want to mention, I think last meeting we talked about a new chair having to be elected every November 1st in accordance with our procedures bylaw. We went back and looked at the terms of reference for the AAC, and the person nominated or the person elected to chair this evening will stand for all of 2025 into the start of 2026. So for the Agricultural Advisory Committee meeting, we do a chair election at the start of every year, as opposed to after November 1st. So with that, I will turn it over to Carrie. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I have someone make a motion to approve the agenda?
I will.
All right, Kevin. And can someone second it?
I will.
Thank you, Michelle. Um, so that's passed. And then has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our October 2024 meeting? Yeah. Are there any things that need to be changed in the minutes? No. Can we have someone move to accept the minutes from the meeting? Russell, thank you. And someone to second that? Michelle, thank you. All right, so that is passed as well. All right, so we're moving on to the reason for this meeting. So that's the ALC non-farm use application number 101184 in reference to 9520 Pemberton Portage Road. And I'm going to pass it off to Anna, and she will give us the presentation.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you all for making it to this meeting today. So we have an ALC application requesting a non-farm use. The property is in the ALR but does not have farm status. The use they're requesting is events up to 10 per year with up to 200 attendees, and one other special event in June of this year with up to 500 attendees. Important things to note about this application is we learned that some events have already taken place on this property, but we have not received any formal noise complaints, and there have not been any issues reported with cars parked on the road. That said, the Ministry of Transportation did state that this particular driveway doesn't have the best visibility, and the road is generally not intended for this level of traffic, in particular with regard to 500 attendees. Also of note is that the area where this is proposed has been identified to have some clear water hazards, and would be located very close to a river, causing potential issues for riparian protection. Should this application be approved by the board and then subsequently by the LC, they would need to then get a temporary use permit or rezoning with the SLRD as well. Let me know your thoughts, comments, or questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Would someone like to start? Russell? You're on mute, Russell.
Yeah, they have had events there the last 2 or 3 years, and to my knowledge, there hasn't been any issues. The only concern I have is just with Gates Creek running through there and fish habitat and all that. So how do they, I guess, just make sure that nothing, serious or nothing happens to that waterway? But as far as the rest of it goes, they seem to have a pretty good grasp on the traffic, and they had lots of washroom facilities. So it seemed to me that it was well looked after. So, anyways, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Russell. Anna, you have something to respond.
Thanks, Carrie. So just to add a little bit to the riparian issue, the applicant proposes that the riparian area is kind of walled off so that people don't have access to it or have a limited access. I don't know how well that would actually be implemented. Also to add that is that they do have hay production on that site, and because agricultural activities are not subject to riparian, their hay production site already does encroach quite a bit into the 30-meter riparian strip. So just some more information there.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. And Conley has something to say.
Different question. If somebody else wants to follow up on the riparian piece, I'll let them go first. Okay. Okay, just a clarification. I'm not not clear if they're asking for multiple events or just one event. Are they under the temporary use permit, they're allowed to have these 10 events per year of a certain size and one special event, but are they asking for multiple events per year? Or are they asking for just one single event?
Uh, yeah, so I can speak to that. They are asking for both. So they're asking for 10 events per year for the duration of the TUP. So typically the duration of the TUP is 3 years and up to 6 years. So that would be 10 events per year for each one of those years. And then specifically in June of 2025, they want to have this one very large event with 500 attendees.
Perfect. Thank you, Anna. Do any of our panelists have something to say? Michelle, have you had a chance? Oh, sorry, Elliot, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I live out in Birken, pretty close to the property that's being talked about. And from what I understand is the area here, I don't think anyone's really had any issues with the events that have been there over the years. The one thing that does come up in my mind is that I used to farm the land right a couple doors down, and that soil there is insane. It's probably some of the best soil in the whole area. So that's my only concern is having events going for that amount of time. What's the impact on that ground over those many years? The water is a big item that's been brought up. But the groundwater rises every year in that valley and saturates the soil and then drops back down into the earth, bringing up all the minerals and biology to the surface. So those are the things that come up in my mind. When I started reading it, I was like, oh, this is I think allowing those events is a great thing. It's just we got to be careful on where things are located and how that ground's being managed through that period. I think someone owning a piece of land, they should have the right to have events and do the things as long as it's kept up and the ground is kept healthy. So yeah, that soil is unbelievable.
Okay, thank you, Elliot. Kevin, I'm not sure if it was Kevin or Michelle that popped up first. Michelle or Kevin? Go ahead, Kevin.
Just, is there any worry of damage or so it seems like there's been events in the past that have not been an issue. Has there been an event of 500 people on that land, and would that impact the land worse than 150, having 2.5 times the amount of people on it? And I guess a question for Anna is, if you grant the temporary use permit for whatever the smaller number of people, can you not grant the 500 person event? Like, is it two separate things, or is it a yes or no for all?
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I think uh, if they do get to the temporary use permit stage, that they would still need approval from our board after this, and then the ALC. And then if they do get approval from the ALC as well, they would get to the temporary use permit stage. And then at that stage, I do believe we can the board has a choice to sort of approve just one part of it. So they could even say, oh, let's do 5 events per year instead of the 10 requested, and then no big event. So it kind of is up to them ultimately.
I remember back in the day there was I think Megan and Teo used to have some events out on their property at the Moon Farm before it got destroyed. And those had pretty low impact from what I've seen. And there's quite a lot of people out there. The ground was very well respected, like I see driving by after that last festival that was out on the grounds. So that's something else I can put forward, just like the cleanup that I've seen, like there's nothing left behind, so that was pretty good. That's just from driving by and seeing from the road what's going on. So just want to give you that information as well.
All right, thanks, Elliot. Michelle, it's your turn.
I sort of have a question slash comment. So they state that they make hay on their property, but if they're having 10 events a year, how is that going to impact their haymaking? Because obviously you have to keep the grass short for these events. You can't let it grow and then make hay 10 times a year. So it's just sort of how are they planning to mitigate haying with also 10 events a year?
Thanks, Michelle. I can answer that. So the applicant states that the events are proposed to take place after the hay is harvested.
Okay, so
they're
they're only
sorry.
going to do one crop of hay a year then.
I'm not entirely sure. I could confirm that with them. But
So
they are proposing to not impact the hay production that currently take place.
Okay.
I did a little Google search to find out what this event was, and it's supposed to happen June 20th to 22nd, which in Pemberton is like you can make hay by then, but it's difficult and it's not guaranteed. So to say that you're going to have the hay off by that event time seems very in a perfect world. I don't know if Michelle has anything to say to that, but
Well, I
that's what
actually
I saw.
researched as well
Yeah.
and found out what was it, it's essentially a rave. And also yeah, it was just a concern because they do, like you said, it's by June 20th, you're lucky if you get a good crop of hay, if it's everything's right in the world.
Yeah. And in Birken, things grow a bit faster out here. But I think when I looked at the mapping on the application there, it looked like the back part of the property is more what they were talking about haying. But that is the part of the land that floods as well, right? That you can't really grow food and much stuff in. It's kind of like all my experience comes from being at the Moon Farm years ago, growing food out there, and most of the land is like unfarmable, except for the property closer to the road on all those properties there, because the water rises and doesn't leave until late spring, sometimes even end of June. So the higher ends of those, like the closer to the road, the property, the drier it is. But all that soil is black, just let you know, it's black and rich. So.
Okay, thanks, Elliot. Conley, you had a comment?
I was just going to say the exact same thing as Michelle, and that's actually why I was wondering if it was one event or if it was 1 plus 10 smaller events, because I'm not sure how you're planning 10 small events around a hay crop either, unless those are planning to take place in the shoulder seasons, but I kind of doubt it. So how are those 10 events taking place with the hay production, or is the plan really not to keep producing hay and the plan is to make income off of these events? That's just feels a little sketchy, so that's a bit of a flag for me.
Thank you, Conley. Kevin, you had something to say?
Just more of a just popped into my head, but at the last meeting we had, the discussion was around freeing up farmland, the SLRD possibly purchasing farmland to foster more farming in the valley, and kind of building off what Connolly said. So on one hand, we're saying that the SLRD might be interested in purchasing farmland to get people to farm it, but then in this instance, it's allowing non-farm use on the land that will likely impact the farmability. So the one doesn't, it's kind of a contradiction. I'm all for farmers having other streams of income off their property, weddings, dinners, all that thing, because that's what's required. But this is kind of getting into that territory of replacement of farming for revenue, and that may impact the actual agriculture.
Thank you, Kevin. Lee, we haven't heard from you yet. Would you like to make a comment about this?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see I'd like to see some kind of an agreement where they will help with the flooding situation because of the good soil that's there, and in exchange for allowing them to have events, but they need to invest into improving the farmland, and that way it's a win-win situation. They get help, but the farming accessibility on that beautiful land, as Elliot has mentioned, I'm familiar with that soil there too. It's like peat soil. It's unbelievable. And they just need to do some drainage hydrology work there with machinery, which I have a lot of experience with, living with beavers for quite a while, 40 years. And yeah, it could be an incredibly rich, productive farming. So maybe a meeting set up with the landowners to take some of their revenues to have a plan to, make their land even better than it is. And then that way we're not just giving them an opportunity to make money and not do anything for the farmability of our incredible valley there. So that's all I had to say. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Lee.
You're welcome.
Anna, did you want to respond to Lee's comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of add a comment and some information. So agricultural properties that have farm status, so they basically properties that have been determined to have a sufficient amount of farming or land improvement, they have the ability to host events as of right. So that is hypothetically a route they could have gone, is to just get farm status by farming more and then get that event use. The event use is capped at 150 attendees, so it's a little bit more low key, I guess you could say. But yeah, just wanted to add that is something they like an avenue they could explore if this doesn't get approved.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Michelle, you had something to say?
Just a comment. I just sort of my personal feeling about this is I think it's with looking at the map and looking at what they want to do with the 10 events a year, plus one, if they're adding a 500 or a 500 person event. It's just a very thin line between having farmland that also has a permanent festival site on it with buildings. They must have to have bathrooms. There's a parking lot that the way I see it is in the field. So all of that for 10 events a year is really going to impact the land, in my opinion, negatively. And it's a thin line between farming and having a permanent festival site on your farm.
Thank you, Michelle. Trish, did you have anything to say? I don't think we've heard from you yet. No? I had a couple of concerns. Like Michelle, I feel like the hay part is difficult because of the scheduling, and as well as Conley's concern that if you're going to make any other cuts of hay, it would be impossible with that number. I also question the high water table. Like, I remember when Robbie Menzel was making hay out there, he couldn't make hay until like July. So I don't know how they would confirm that they'd be able to make hay by the 20th of June. There were some irregularities in the actual application that I don't know. I just find difficult. Like the purchase date was January 7th, 1947, which that would make the person 78 years old if they bought it the day they were born. I don't know if that's true, if it just seems weird. There are some weird things in there. I think that it doesn't contribute to local food security or agricultural housing. It's outside of all of the groundwork that we've set for farmland, and it is farmland, and I just don't really feel like we should be supporting this non-farm use application for so many different reasons. It's not supporting agriculture. And as the agriculture area committee, I think that like there may be benefits to economically, but agriculturally, I don't think it would be a benefit. Trish, did you have anything you wanted to add? Russell?
Yeah, excuse me. That event they had last year, they did have that after they had taken their cut of hay off. Their cut of hay is not what you would imagine. It's not a lot of hay, and it's small square bales. But anyways, I think the thing that staff needs to do is go back to these folks. If they had their one large event, which they had last year, and they've had it previously, and that was done, like I say, after they had cut their hay. But and they did actually take a second cut last year, later on in the summer. But maybe the idea is to let them have their big event, but none of the small events. Because if they start having an event every weekend, then obviously that's going to impact the property in some way. Having that one big event for one weekend, the way they had it last year, everything went up and everything was gone. And like Elliot said, the Monday or Tuesday after that event, you would never know that anything had happened there. It was just back to being a field. So maybe staff needs to talk to them about this and see if that's what they really want to do is have that, the 10 events, because that to me is a little bit overreaching. I think that's going to impact that property. And as has been said, if we get a high runoff, that property will be impacted water-wise. It can go right into the middle of July. So anyways, that's it for me.
Okay, thanks, Russell. Alex, what are you looking for from us? Did you just want our comments to bring back to the board? Do you want a resolution? What are you looking for?
I think I'll let Anna speak to that. I think it could go either way. The board resolution was seeking comment and input from the AAC. But I'll leave that to Anna.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, we're just looking for comments, concerns, and I believe a resolution as well. Yes, yeah.
Elliot?
Yeah, just to bring one more thing up there, kind of like what Russell Mack was saying. What about even sectioning off like a part of that upper area, when those events happen, so that it can stay agricultural land and not be touched, like untouched zone, because that upper part of the property could be more used for doing hay and stuff like that. I know they used to have horses and a paddock back there and stuff like that as well. But yeah, just protecting the farmable land is like the main thing. And I think the festivals that he's had there, I've always been surprised because I've seen some pretty horrible things. Like for instance, Candy Fest, that was pretty bad. Uh, that was like a bomb went off after that was done. And this place, I think they respect their property quite a bit. It seems that a lot of locals go there and enjoy that. And it's always been cleaned up pretty well. So there's something, I just want to push that forward.
Okay, thanks, Elliot.
Yeah.
Does anyone feel like they can make a resolution?
I'd like to see them do some land improvements to make it more farmable because um, that soil, if it's properly engineered, like drainage ditches, uh, making more high ground areas and doing a bunch of engineering there, if they were to have a plan to improve that land, then it's a trade-off. Allow them to make some money, and then some of that money should go to fixing the land. I think it's a win-win. I think there's an opportunity there to benefit both parties here. So that's just my 2 cents worth anyway.
So really, I think that this piece of land is a bit higher than the rest of them, like the Moon Farm and the place beside. I think
Well,
it's a bit higher up and
yeah.
So
Well,
those are the drainage issues.
I don't know if
Sorry. I think Michelle has something to say, and then Russell.
Good.
Okay, so part of this application is the applicant is this George Workus, who is the actual DJ that's putting on the event, and then the owner. So who's this a moneymaker for? The farmer or the DJ that's putting on the event? What portion of the income from this event events is going to go back into the farm or to the farmer? I mean, realistically.
Yeah, good point.
Thanks, Michelle. Russell, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think that like this talk of re-engineering the land or any of that stuff, we would definitely have to get an Aquatco on board for that because that's a salmon-bearing stream. So if you were to take machinery in there and start altering, the stream flow or anything to that effect, because that would impact this like Gates Creek all the way down
Yeah.
to Anderson Lake. So,
Well, it would actually enhance the fisheries by giving more area and more channels for the fish to go. I've already got 40 years experience on 50 acres in Mount Currie and increasing the salmon fry by tens of thousands just by trying to get 2 acres of land to grow my vegetables on. I lived in the swamp there. So that land, when I was working at the Langset farm out there, that's exactly what I did for those farm owners. I gave them a big field to work on and I put a drain ditch all the way around, not touching any of the existing water flows, but connecting into them so that the fish actually had more habitat to fatten up before they go back to the ocean. So if anybody wants to consult with me about my experience, I definitely have lots of years of and data to prove on it. So I think, like I say, we could really take advantage of people who want to try to make money, but make them help out the farmers too at the same time.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think that we should be talking about what they can do to change things. We should just be sticking to the application that they've submit to us. And that doesn't have anything to do with us telling them how to farm or use their land. So let's just stick to the application. All right.
To touch on that, can I add one little thing to that? I know it's off topic.
No.
No,
We're just going to move on. I'm sorry, Elliot.
BC Rail.
Conley?
Well, I was going to kind of go off that, but if we're not talking about improvements at all, I'll just
we
leave
don't need
it.
to talk about improvements. This isn't what this meeting is for.
Yeah.
If you bring it back to us for that, then that's what we can talk about there. But we've already gone way off topic, and we just need to decide what we would like to present to the board as a group, whether or not we have consensus that they think that they should move forward with it, or consensus that we don't think that they should move forward. Kevin?
I don't like it in its current form just because I don't think it fits with farming and basically everything. I agree with 100% with what you said, Carrie. So I think this is a stretch, but in its current form, not saying if they revised their plan and had more information that I couldn't be change my mind, but my current stance is I don't think this makes sense.
Okay. Would you like to formulate a resolution that you could just bring to the group for us?
I think I just kind of did.
Is
Yeah,
that good enough for you, Alex?
yeah, probably too wordy.
I'm just trying to write it down and see if it works out here. Could be that
Feel,
they,
feel free to paraphrase.
yeah. So that the AAC recommends that the board not support the application in its current form. Do you want to add to that or just leave it at that?
I think we could say something about it's not supporting agriculture.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone.
So as it does not support agriculture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if they had farm status and were actively farming and were asking for this as a portion or an add-on, then it may make a difference in my mind.
Okay. Do you want me to read that back and just see
Yes,
if everyone's
please.
happy with where it stands? So that the AAC recommends that the board not support the application in its current form as it does not support agriculture. Do you
Does
want to
anybody
see
want to add
anything
anything to it?
further?
I think that's simple enough. Yeah, that's good. All right. So someone needs to second that. Is that right, Alex? Yeah.
That's
Michelle
correct.
is
Yes.
seconding it. And then we need to have a vote. Who supports this motion? I need to see some hands. Okay. I have to be the tiebreaker. Oh, and Elliot's voting as well. Okay. So all those against? I don't see any hands against. So the motion is passed. All right, moving on to the next order of business. So in any other items, we have a 2025 AAC membership call. Alex, do you want to talk to that?
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to mention briefly that we are accepting new applications for the Agricultural Advisory Committee until January 30th. I think in Area C there's only 3 open spaces, but I would encourage any of you that know other folks that might be interested in joining to send them the application form. It's on our website, and I can also share it out to the committee after the meeting tomorrow as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So our next item is next steps and close of meeting. So we will convene another meeting as needed. It will be held virtually. And items that may be discussed include the Agricultural Land Trust and the Ag Plan implementation. Does anybody have anything else that they need to say before we close the meeting? No? Would someone like to move to adjourn the meeting? Kevin? Would someone like to second it? Russell, thank you. Well, thank you everyone for coming out this evening. And we will see you again another time. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.